Throughout history, humans have constantly searched for the best places to live, areas rich in resources, safety and opportunity. Over time, these small communities grew into massive cities and powerful nations, with populations reaching into the millions. However, not everyone chose this path. Some people have deliberately rejected modern civilization, choosing to live in complete isolation far from crowded cities and the outside world. In some of the most extreme places on Earth, these isolated communities have survived in harsh environments, overcome immense challenges and preserved their way of life for generations. Some have become remarkably successful, while others remain so isolated that many of their members have never left their communities. Welcome to Random Channel. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications to receive regular updates. I hope you enjoy the video. One of the most isolated communities on Earth lies more than 3,200 kilometres northeast of New Zealand, Palmerston Island. This tiny island, home to just 62 people, holds an extraordinary secret. Almost every resident is descended from one man. That man was Williammarsters, an Englishman who arrived on the island in 1863 with his wife and two of her cousins. After being granted ownership of the island by Queen Victoria, Marsters married all three women and went on to have 23 children. Before his death in 1899, he divided the island into 3 parts and left each section to one of his wives, creating a legacy that still defines the island today. Life on Palmerston Island remains incredibly isolated and simple. There are no shops, banks, or markets. Residents mostly trade goods among themselves. While money is only useful when dealing with the few supply ships that visit the island each year, islanders rely heavily on fishing and harvesting coconuts to survive. Fresh drinking water mainly comes from rain collected on rooftops. The island has only 2 shared bathrooms for all its residents. Electricity is available for just a few hours each day. Although a telephone station has recently been introduced, many residents have still never left the island. Visitors are warmly welcomed and often stay in the homes of the locals. However, reaching the island is challenging. The nearest access point is Rarotonga, which is located more than 500 kilometres away, and the journey there takes nearly 2 days by boat. For most people, this level of isolation would be unthinkable. For the people of Palmerston Island, however, it is simply home. In the middle of the South Atlantic Ocean lies Tristandacunha, an island so remote that it is often described as the most isolated inhabited place on Earth. Tristandacunha. The nearest civilization, South Africa, is over 2,800 kilometres away. This tiny volcanic archipelago was first discovered in 1506 by a Portuguese explorer, after whom it is still named today. Ironically, he never set foot on the island, having been forced to turn back due to a violent storm. Centuries later, in the early 19th century, an American adventurer named Jonathanlambert declared himself ruler of the island, but died in mysterious circumstances just 2 years later. In 1816, the United Kingdom formally annexed the islands, securing their strategic position in the South Atlantic. During the Second World War, Tristandacunha played a secret surveillance role, monitoring enemy naval activity across the ocean. Today, around 267 people call this remote island home. Despite its isolation, the island boasts essential facilities, including a hospital, a small shop and a modest cinema. But life here is far from easy. All supplies must be ordered weeks or even months in advance and shipped from distant ports in South Africa or Namibia. Only a handful of sea voyages reach the island each year. There are no airports, hotels or restaurants. Electricity is limited and generated by small local systems rather than a central grid. Although life is not primitive, isolation creates constant challenges for the residents. The island is also volcanic in nature. In the 1960s, an eruption forced the entire population to evacuate to the United Kingdom, yet despite everything, the people returned. For them, Tristandacunha is not just an isolated island, it is home. Utqiagvik, the northernmost city in America and the 9th northernmost city in the world, lies at the northern edge of Alaska, far above the Arctic Circle. Defined by extreme isolation and freezing temperatures, it is one of the most challenging places on Earth to live. Despite these harsh conditions, archaeological evidence suggests that the area was home to thriving communities as early as the 6th century AD. Life in Utqiagvik is shaped by an unforgiving climate. The warm season lasts only around 3 months each year, during which time temperatures rarely rise above 2 degrees Celsius. For the rest of the year, average temperatures drop to around -16 degrees Celsius. Residents must also endure the polar night, a period of complete darkness lasting approximately 65 days, which typically begins in November. Yet despite these extreme conditions, more than 4,400 people call Utqiagvik home, nearly 60% of whom are Inuit. The city continues to grow, largely because residents enjoy a relatively modern standard of living, supported by reliable infrastructure and essential services. Homes are heated by natural gas, and the city has modern water and sewage systems, as well as restaurants, hotels, schools, places of worship, telephone networks, and internet access. Every year, tourists travel to this remote Arctic city, but reaching it is no easy task as air travel is currently the only option. Imagine living in a town so high above sea level that breathing can make you ill. Welcome to Larinconada, the highest permanently inhabited town on Earth. Located deep in the Andes Mountains of southeastern Peru, it sits at an altitude of nearly 5,100 meters above sea level. For visitors, the extreme altitude can be brutal. Many people experience severe headaches, nausea, dizziness, and breathlessness within hours of arriving. For those with respiratory or heart conditions, the consequences can be deadly. And the altitude isn't the only challenge. Temperatures in Larinconada range from 6 degrees Celsius to -11 degrees Celsius throughout the year. The roads leading in and out of the town are rough, icy, and dangerous for most of the year, making travel incredibly difficult. Yet despite these harsh conditions, nearly 50,000 people choose to live here. Why? Because beneath these frozen mountains lies something powerful enough to make people risk everything: gold. The region is rich in gold deposits, and between 2001 and 2009, the price of gold doubled worldwide. As a result, Larinconada's population increased by almost 230%, with thousands of people arriving from across Peru and other countries, hoping to strike it rich. But the reality is far darker than most people realize. Many miners work under an exploitative system where they receive no salary, no insurance, and no guaranteed income. Instead, after working for a whole month, they are given just one day to carry out as much gold ore as they can. Some workers strike it rich on that single day. Others leave with nothing. It's essentially a deadly lottery. Because theft is common and desperation runs high, many miners refuse to wait for their designated day, risking even more dangerous consequences. Despite the town's poverty, lack of clean water, poor infrastructure, and absence of proper sewage systems, people continue to live there. They endure freezing temperatures, dangerous roads, toxic living conditions, and constant oxygen deprivation, all for the dream of finding gold. We now travel from one of the highest inhabited regions on Earth to one of the coldest places where humans still survive, Oymyakon. Located deep within eastern Russia, this remote town is one of the coldest permanently inhabited places on the planet. It is so isolated that the nearest major city is almost 930 kilometers away. Life here is a constant battle against nature. Located just a few kilometers from the Arctic Circle, winter temperatures regularly plummet to between -42 degrees Celsius and -58 degrees Celsius. However, on February 6, 1933, Oymyakon reached the terrifying record temperature of -67.7 degrees Celsius. At these temperatures, exposed skin can freeze in minutes, making frostbite one of the greatest dangers that the town's residents face daily. During winter, daylight hours are limited, with the sun appearing for only a few hours each day. Even simple daily tasks become extreme challenges. Cars are often left running for long periods because engines can freeze, and batteries can die quickly in the cold. Farming is almost impossible here. The permanently frozen ground makes agriculture extremely difficult, forcing most residents to rely heavily on meat-based diets. The frozen earth creates another unusual problem. It is almost impossible to install proper water and sewage systems. Consequently, many residents depend on public toilets located throughout the town. In a place where temperatures can be lethal within minutes, survival itself has become a way of life. And that's all for this episode. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. See you in the next one.